Subject: Overdrone S655L894T131. Species: unknown. Species description: humanoid. Ship: Grand Vessel of the Universal on the Union. Location: Grand Shipyard of the Universal on the Union.
Unintended Destruction Report TUI 09.09982655537 is now available for your perusal, my readout informed me. The high pitch of its voice grated my nerves as I absent-mindedly tapped the notification that suddenly appeared in my vision. There are ways to change the voice of one's readout, but such actions are far from authorized, and I can land one in trouble. Trouble that one such as I would do well to avoid. The UDR popped open, and my upper eye widened at the number of pages. 92 of them. A hint of excitement coursed through my mostly mechanical nervous system at the thought that Nizzy had found something interesting, but most of the pages were just the UDR for the reactor explosion. With a sigh, I leaned back in my field charging unit. The emergency office's bright orange walls seemed to press in on me, making it difficult to concentrate on the report. Thankfully, my neural net began automatically scanning the information within the document, giving me a condensed version of what had been found. The hint of excitement returned as I noted that there were a few inconsistencies, but before I could dive deeper, the buzzer to my office door triggered. Drone N426Z894I016 is requesting Come in. I interrupted the readout. Nizzy entered the room before the readout had even finished the announcement. He walked over to me, blissfully unaware of my readout's high-pitched prattling. I made a quick list of things to get clarification as he readied himself to speak. I've submitted my report on the accident, Foreman, he said. We finished the cleanup too. Good work, I replied. I'm going through the report now. Why didn't you include the security logs? Because there weren't any. The security system in the whole sector went offline before the explosion. The sensors have been dark this whole time. All of them. Audio, visual, vibrative, and even thermal. We had to have specialists reset the whole sector security network to get it functioning again. I put a copy of the work ticket in the UDR. The specialist said they'll add a supplemental once they get around to it. An entire sector security network going dark without anyone noticing? Difficult to believe. I stared at Nizzy, trying to find any trace of deception, but all I saw was signs of the grim determination that sorrow fosters. The blind need to throw oneself into their work to distract from the pain of loss. Drones N436Z984A026 and N426Z894I016 had known each other for a long time and had formulated a friendship. It must be a devastating loss. I made a note to have Nizzy evaluated for psychological reaffirmation if he began to display undesirable behaviors. And what about the power? I asked. You made a note of an increase in power draw that lasted until just before the explosion, but didn't note its relevancy. I was sure it was relevant. We noted it when trying to figure out what happened with the security system, but we couldn't make sense of it, he responded. The only hint of a theory we have is that the reason the security system went dark is because it drew too much power and overloaded. It's not a great theory, though, because we don't know why it would do that, and can't find conclusive evidence. I see. Okay. So, did you find out what caused the explosion? No, we were... Nizzy paused and swallowed. We were unable to conclusively determine whether or not drone N436Z984A026 or drone Z831H369X045 caused the explosion. That's disappointing. So it's unknown whether Nuzza and 40 were heroes or incompetents? With respect, Foreman, there's no universe in which Nuzza could be an incompetent, Nizzy said,
with a surprising amount of passion. It's true that the anti-grav generator exploded, but I know that the explosion was unavoidable. I would bet every single one of my parts and organs on it. NASA's work on the generator either had no effect or lessened the severity of the explosion. There's no alternative explanation.
I can believe that, I nodded sadly. But without conclusive evidence, it's up to the media to decide whether he's a hero or not. If they feel drone morale is low, they'll release the news that NASA and 40 sacrificed themselves to keep an anti-gravity generator from going supercritical and forming a singularity that could have caused immense damage to the grand vessel.
Yeah, and if they think we're feeling uppity, they'll say that NASA and 40's incompetent work destroyed an anti-grav generator and cost them their lives, Nizzy scoffed.
Indeed, and their names will be added to the mural of incompetence, permanently sullying their legacies.
It isn't fair, Foreman.
Nothing is. We stared at each other for a moment, contemplating our lot in life. Technically speaking, we had both just committed a crime by voicing dissatisfaction with the Omni-Union media. But I wouldn't tell if he didn't. So, to summarize your report, an odd sequence of coincidences resulted in finding very little information on what actually happened during the accident, I said.
Yes, Foreman, Nizzy nodded. There were also some odd chemical signatures present, but we aren't sure if they were caused by the explosion or not.
Oh, good. More mystery, I said sarcastically.
Inexplicable power draw, security system goes offline for seemingly no reason, and odd chemicals that may or may not have been a result of the anti-grav generator. There's too many coincidences, Nizzy.
It sure is, Foreman.
Are you going to run it up the chain?
A damn good question. One that always sends a shiver of fear for an overdrone. I'll have to be careful with how I handle this. If this turns out to be nothing and I sound the alarm, I'll be punished for wasting resources. If I treat it as nothing, and it turns out to be something though, I'll be getting a visit from the judicials. They will want to know why I didn't sound the alarm, and they won't be asking nicely.
May it all be taken by Eurysophron, thief of order, a vivified personification of entropy.
I will flag it as potentially concerning, I said with a sigh. Not sure which kind of flag to put on it, though. I think it's an unexpected systems malfunction, Nizzy replied. Don't know what else it could be. Maybe. I need to ask this, though, just to cover all the bases. I leaned forward. Did you ever suspect drone N436Z984A026 of harboring thoughts of dissidence? Nizzy and I locked eyes. I watched as several emotions played out over his face. First was confusion, then outrage, and finally a cold stare. I wanted to communicate to him that there was only one correct answer to this question, but doing so could give the judicials who might pull my neural net evidence with which to convict me. No. Drone N436Z984A026 never showed any signs of dissidence or harboring any type of ill will toward the Omni-Union, Nizzy said, with a carefully neutral tone. With a reassuring nod, I leaned back into my charging station. If Nizzy had indicated that NASA had any rebellious thoughts, I would automatically have to flag this accident as potential dissidence. That would lead to a more thorough investigation, except there would be nothing to investigate because our standard procedures require us to repair as we go. And the security system, which would be the best way to clear our names, had suspiciously gone dark just before the explosion. If the judicials end up getting involved, all of the drones under my command, and especially Nizzy, would be thoroughly interrogated. A good portion of them wouldn't survive the experience. Whether or not he survived, Nizzy would be charged with assisting dissidents for failing to report NASA's potential rebellious nature. NASA's chance of staying off of the mural of incompetence would disappear as well. Then there's what would happen to me. Just to cover my ass a little bit further, I pulled up NASA's record. What I read almost made me swear aloud. Once again, I leaned forward and locked eyes with Nizzy. Were you aware that drone N436Z984A026's entire hive was penalized for dissidence, I said. He was the last active member of his hive.
I am aware of that, but drone N436Z984A026 was cleared of any wrongdoing and passed every psychological assessment. He was loyal to the very end, Foreman, Nizzy explained.
Nizzy's answer stunned me. At first, I thought it to be a blatant lie. I reviewed Naz's file again, checking every document that I had clearance to access. The profile that the judicials had created for him seemed to clash with what I knew of him. NASA having willing to accept punishment for the sake of his fellow drones, which was antithetical to the doctrine of the Omni-Union. The charges that the judicials had suspected him of weren't the kind that go away with a round or two of questioning. Collusion, sabotage, murder, and dissidence were the highest sins a drone could commit. The judicials had suspected NASA of all of these, and had thoroughly questioned him regarding their suspicions. The results of their interrogations and tests had them under the impression that he was practically a saint of loyalty. It definitely conflicted with my impression of him. Well, the judicials certainly seem to believe that he is loyal, and it isn't my place to doubt them, I said, carefully. I am going to flag this incident as a case of unexpected systems malfunction. Further investigation, if required, will be handled by specialists. Understood. When will the new tech be arriving? The anti-grav generator and reactor? In a few cycles, but we won't be working on them. The anti-grav generator requires specialists, and since they'll already be in the area, they're going to do the reactor too. We're going to be reassigned to our previous posting. Back to hull work, then. Yes. Maintenance is the grandest calling. You may go now, drone N426Z894I016. Thank you. Have a good rest of your cycle over drone S655L894T131. Nizzy nodded and left my temporary office. My readout's annoying voice announced his departure, but I was too lost in thought to listen. Someone that is loyal to the Omni-Union would not put their life at risk to save some drones, and wouldn't defy orders under any circumstances. Even if it were to save a chunk of the Grand Vessel, the Omni-Union dictates that above all else, orders are paramount and cannot be disobeyed. According to the judicials, NASA should have been evacuated once I'd given the order. He shouldn't have even paused to think about it. His feet should have been moving the moment the words left my mouth. But he not only disobeyed my order, he inquired about the consequences of disobeying. His disobedience was calculated, not a temporary malfunction caused by a swell of emotion. There's no doubt that the judicials had made a mistake. A small smile crept over my features as I filed the report with the potential issue flag. Once it was filed, I reached into a hidden storage area in my left thigh and pulled out a small card. I inserted the card into a slot under my right eye. My readout deactivated, then turned on with a significant shift in appearance. The rest of the rebels will want to know about this development.